I died choking on my own blood. The taste of betrayal as metallic as the knife my husband plunged into my gut, all while my parents watched from the shadows, their silence louder than any scream. But death wasn't the end. It was a goddamn reset button, slamming me back into my body 3 years earlier. Heart pounding like a jackhammer in a cheap motel room off I-95. The acrid smell of stale smoke and regret hanging in the air like a noose. And the first words out of my mouth, gasping into the humid Florida night. Not this time, you bastards. Not ever again. That motel room in Jacksonville was my rock bottom. The kind of place where dreams go to die under flickering neon signs advertising hourly rates. It was July 4th, 2022, Independence Day. Ironic as hell, and I'd just fled Tampa with my 5-year-old son, Noah, bundled in the back seat of my beat-up Honda Civic, his little chest rising and falling in uneasy sleep. My husband, Rick, had crossed the line one too many times, the bruises blooming like ugly flowers on my ribs, the whiskey breath hot against my neck as he whispered threats that made my blood run cold. I'd scraped together every dime for my gig as a freelance graphic designer, plus the $700 a week I wired to my parents back in their sleepy suburb of Orlando, money they swore was for helping out, but really, it was hush money to keep them from disowning me for ruining the family name by marrying a loser like Rick. Noah stirred as I collapsed onto the lumpy mattress, his tiny hand clutching my shirt like it was the only anchor in his storm-tossed world. "Mommy, why we runnin'?" His voice was a whisper, eyes wide as saucers in the half-light from the parking lot. I forced a smile, the kind that didn't reach my eyes, and lied through my teeth. "Just an adventure, baby. Like in your books. We're gonna find pirates and treasure." He giggled, but it was fragile, cracking at the edges like thin ice. God, I hated lying to him. But what choice did I have? My parents, Evelyn and Harold, Evie and Hal to their bridge club cronies, had made it crystal clear. Family sticks together, no matter how toxic the glue. They'd wired me that first $700 back when Noah was born. A gift to get me on my feet, but it came with strings thicker than the Everglades vines. "We're investing in you, Layla," Mom had cooed over the phone, her voice syrupy with that fake Southern charm she'd picked up after Dad's transfer from Ohio. "But you gotta pay it forward. Send us what you can. We're family." That night in the motel, as fireworks cracked like gunfire outside, the memories flooded back, not the fuzzy ones from this new life, but the razor-sharp horrors from the one I'd just clawed out of. In that future, the one where I ended up gutted like a fish on our anniversary, it all unraveled because of them. I'd gone back to Orlando for Noah's 8th birthday, dragging Rick along like a bad habit, hoping against hope that a family gathering could stitch us back together. The cake was chocolate, Noah's favorite, with blue icing stars because he dreamed of being an astronaut. But they skipped it. Evie and Hal claimed a prior commitment, some bullshit country club mixer, but when I confronted them the next day, tears streaming down my face as Noah sobbed in the corner, the truth spilled out like poison from a cracked vial. It wasn't forgetfulness. It was deliberate. They'd been skimming my payments, funneling the $700 a week into a secret slush fund for their retirement dream, a condo in the Keys, margaritas on the beach, while I scraped by on ramen and fear. Worse, they'd known about Rick's affairs, his rages, even egged him on in hushed phone calls I'd overheard in my dying haze. "She's always been dramatic, Rick," Dad had chuckled once, voice tinny through the veil of death. "Tough love, son, makes her stronger." Stronger? It made me a ghost. And the final betrayal? They'd convinced Noah it was my fault, whispering lies that turned my boy against me just before Rick's blade found my belly. "Mommy's the bad one," he'd echoed, eyes empty as they wheeled me away on a gurney slick with my own life. Waking up in 2022, sweat-soaked and shaking, I bolted upright, the room spinning like a bad acid trip. My hands flew to my stomach, flat, unscarred, no phantom ache from the stab wound. The calendar on the wall screamed the date, July 4th, 2022. 3 years back. Noah was 2, not 5. His chubby toddler form curled beside me, thumb in mouth, oblivious. I touched his cheek, tears blurring my vision. This was my shot. Redemption. Revenge. Whatever the hell you call it when the universe hits rewind. But it wouldn't be clean. No Hallmark ending where forgiveness washes it all away. This was America, baby, land of the free, home of the pissed off, and I was done playing nice. The next morning, I packed us up before dawn, the Civic's engine coughing to life like an old smoker. Tampa was behind us, Orlando loomed ahead. A spiderweb of subdivisions and strip malls where secrets festered under manicured lawns. I cranked the AC, blasting some old-school Carrie Underwood to drown out the rage bubbling in my veins. Before He Cheats, fitting anthem for the warpath I was on. First stop, a bank in Jacksonville. I withdrew every cent from the joint account I'd shared with Rick, $2, $300, give or take, leaving him a polite note on the fridge back home, finding my independence. Don't call the cops. Screw the optics in Florida. Domestic disputes were a dime a dozen. And I had the bruises to back up my hasty exit if push came to shove. By noon, we hit the highway, Noah babbling about boom-boom fireworks from last night. I glanced in the rearview, heart twisting. He deserved better than this nomadic bullshit. Better than grandparents who treated him like a bargaining chip. As the miles blurred, I pieced together the plan, scribbling notes on a crumpled napkin while stuck in traffic near Daytona. Step 1. Cut off the money hose. No more $700 wires. Let Evie and Hal feel the pinch. Watch their golden years tarnish. Step 2. Document everything. I'd always been the artsy type. Now those skills would forge a paper trail of hell. Screenshots of texts, bank statements, voicemails where mom guilt-tripped me into sending just this once more. Step 3. The confrontation. Not some tearful plea, but a calculated ambush, laced with the truth bombs from my future knowledge. Make them squirm. Make them confess on tape. And Rick? He'd get his in due time. Maybe an anonymous tip to his boss about the embezzlement I'd uncovered in my past life. The one that nearly tanked his construction gig. Orlando welcomed us with its signature humidity, a wet blanket that clung like regret. I crashed at a no-tell-motel off International Drive, the kind with palm trees swaying mockingly outside and the distant roar of roller coasters mocking my grounded life. That first night, I called Mom, voice steady as steel.
Hey.
Evie. It's Layla. Noah and I are in town. Unannounced. Be there tomorrow for dinner. Her paws stretched like taffy. Surprise? Guilt?
Oh.
Honey, what a delight. Rick joining. I bit back the bile.
No.
Just us.
Click.
The next day, I dolled up in my best fuck you armor, jeans that hugged my post-baby curves, a tank top that showed off the tattoo I'd gotten in rebellion, resilient scripted across my collarbone, and eyeliner sharp enough to draw blood. Noah, in his dinosaur overalls, clutched a faded stuffed T-Rex named Rexy. We pulled into their driveway at 6 p.m. Sharp. The split-level ranch house glowing under solar lights. American flags fluttering from the porch like hypocritical banners. Dad answered the door, his beer gut straining against a polo shirt, face splitting into that salesman grin he'd perfected at the car dealership. Layla girl. And the little man. Come in. Come in. Inside smelled of pot roast and pine sol. The TV droning Fox News in the background, endless loops of culture wars that Mom devoured like candy. Evie swept in from the kitchen, apron dusted with flour, her perm a helmet of denial. Hugs were exchanged, stiff and obligatory, Noah shyly offering Rexy for inspection. Dinner was a minefield of small talk, Rick's promotion, bullshit. My freelance struggles, understatement. Noah's potty training triumphs, the one pure spot in the charade. I forked at my mashed potatoes, smile plastered on, waiting for the lull. It came after dessert, apple pie a la mode, because nothing says family like diabetes on a plate. Noah was in the living room, mesmerized by cartoons, when I leaned forward, elbows on the table, voice low. So,
About the money.
the $700 a week. It's done. Dad's fork clattered. Mom's eyes widened, that fake concern crinkling her Botox brows. What do you mean? Done? Honey, we're counting on that. Your father's hip replacement. Save it. I cut in, pulling out my phone. I'd prepped a slideshow. Crude but effective, screenshots of transfers, circled in red. You've been cashing in for 2 years now. Over $70,000. And for what? That emergency fund you mentioned last Christmas? I know about the condo deposit in Key West. Their faces drained of color. Dad sputtering about misunderstandings, Mom clutching her pearls like a lifeline. But I wasn't done. And Rick. You knew, didn't you, about the other women? The hits. You told him to man up, like I was the problem. The air thickened, accusations flying like shrapnel. Dad slammed a fist. Ungrateful brat. We raised you. Mom dissolved into sobs. We're family. Layla. Blood.
Blood.
The word hung there, evoking the pool I'd slipped in on my kitchen linoleum 3 years from now. I hit record on my phone, hidden in my lap. Prove it. Then. Tell me why you skipped Noah's birthday last year. The one I begged you to remember. They exchanged glances, guilty, flickering. We were busy, Dad muttered. Liar, I whispered. The future flashing. Their busyness was a golf trip funded by my blood money, while Noah waited for grandparents who never showed. By 9 p.m., the gloves were off. I gathered Noah, bag in hand, storming out to chants of, "Don't throw away your legacy." Legacy? It was a curse, and I was breaking it. Back at the motel, Noah asleep. I uploaded the audio to a cloud drive, heart racing with a mix of triumph and terror. This was just the opening salvo. Revenge wasn't a sprint, it was a marathon of calculated cuts. But as I stared at the ceiling, cracks spiderwebbing like my fracturing resolve, I wondered, how far would I go? And what if Noah got caught in the crossfire? Weeks blurred into a gritty haze of survival mode, the kind where coffee's your co-pilot and paranoia your backseat driver. I rented a one-bedroom in a rundown complex off Colonial Drive, peeling paint, neighbors blasting reggaeton at 3 a.m. But it was ours. $900 a month. Utilities included. paid with the last of Rick's account, and a fresh gig editing logos for a startup in Miami. Noah thrived in the chaos, his laughter a bomb as we finger-painted on butcher paper, dreaming up rocket ships to escape to Mars. "No bad guys there, Mommy," he'd say, crayon stub clutched in fist. "If only." Rick blew up my phone first, voicemails escalating from "Babe, come home to you, crazy bitch. I'll find you." I blocked him, filed a restraining order online through some legal aid site, the bureaucracy a slow grind that made my teeth ache. But the real war was with Evie and Hal. No more wires. And I'd frozen their access to my accounts with a few calls to the bank. Their texts flooded in, "Dad's bluster. This is elder abuse. Mom's manipulation. Think of Noah. A sweetie. He needs his nana." I saved everyone, building my digital fortress. By August, I'd lawyered up pro bono through a women's shelter, sharp as nails Maria, a Cuban firebrand who'd seen every flavor of family fuckery. "Gather the receipts, Mija," she advised over lukewarm Starbucks. "We'll bleed and dry in family court." But revenge wasn't just legal eagles and subpoenas, it was personal, visceral, the kind that simmers in your gut like bad moonshine. I started small, anonymous Yelp reviews on Dad's dealership, shady sales tactics. Stole my grandma's savings, watching the 1 stars pile up like autumn leaves. Mom's Bridge Club? I doxed their charity bake sale as a front for funneling my cash into offshore accounts. Tips sent to the local paper's gossip column.
Petty?
Hell yes.
Cathartic?
Like scratching an itch that's festered for years. And through it all, the future gnawed at me, their complicity in Rick's final rage. The way they'd coached Noah to parrot their poison. "Grandpa says you're selfish. He'd cried in that other life." Knife twisting deeper than steel. September brought the first real storm. A court date for custody. Rick suing for full rights, claiming I was unfit, high on whatever pills he'd swiped from job sites. Evie and Hal backed him. Affidavits swearing I was emotionally volatile, quoting my unannounced visit like it was a felony. I walked into that Orange County courtroom in a thrift store blazer. Noah with a sitter.
Palms slick as I took the stand.
The judge, a grizzled vet named Hargrove with a mustache like a broom bristle, peered over his glasses. "MS. Harlow, your parents allege financial instability. How do you respond?" I swallowed the lump, voice steady. "Your Honor, I've supported my parents with $700 weekly for 2 years, money meant for my son's care, diverted to their luxuries." Maria slid over the exhibits, bank logs, the Key West deposit slip I'd obtained via subpoena. Gasps rippled through the gallery, Rick's sister smirking, Mom dabbing her eyes with a monogrammed hanky. Dad shifted, face red as a stoplight. "Lies," he barked, but Hargrove silenced him with a gavel crack. Rick took the stand next. All charm and crocodile tears. "She's paranoid."
Judge.
"Always has been." "Bullshit." I knew his tells, the averted gaze, the finger tap on the rail. Cross-examination was my coliseum. Maria circled like a shark. "Mr. Harlow, explain these texts to Mrs. Harlow's mother. Hal says tough love works. Right. Sent the day after you struck her." Rick blanched, stammering denials. But the jury, Hargrove's skeptical squint didn't buy it. By recess, whispers buzzed. "That's elder financial exploitation." We broke for lunch. I stepped out for air, lighting a rare cigarette, the smoke curling like my fraying nerves. That's when Mom cornered me in the hall, eyes puffy, voice a hiss. You ungrateful whore. We gave you everything. Gave? They'd taken my dignity, my safety, my son. I leaned in, breath hot. Everything except a spine. I know what you did. Evie. What you're planning. The birthday skip? That was just the appetizer. Her flinch was electric. What are you talking about? But her eyes darted, guilty knowledge. In the future, that skip masked something darker. They'd lure me back for a reconciliation dinner, where Rick waited with blade in hand. Their tough love script dictating the aftermath. Cover-up calls to lawyers. Bribing witnesses. I had no proof yet, but the recording from my visit burned in my pocket. You'll see, I murmured, flicking ash at her sensible pumps. Truth's a bitch. Court reconvened. Hargrove ruled temporary custody to me. Supervised visits for Rick. And, jackpot, a forensic audit of the $700 transfers. Evie and Hal were ordered to repay $50,000. Installments starting next month. Victory tasted like cheap Merlot, but it was hollow. Driving home, Noah's head lolling against his booster. I gripped the wheel white-knuckled. This was progress. But the big guns loomed, exposing their real secret. The one that had haunted my deathbed. I'd pieced it from overheard snippets. Their side hustle wasn't just skimming, it was identity theft. Using my SSN for loans. Forging docs to flip houses under ghost LLCs. In my past life, it tanked my credit. Left me homeless before Rick's mercy kill. Now, I'd unravel it thread by thread. October deepened the divide. Rick violated the order, showed up at daycare. All smiles and teddy bears. Until security hauled him off. I pressed charges. The cops report a new weapon in my arsenal. Meanwhile, Dad's dealership hemorrhaged customers, a viral TikTok of me, anonymous. Of course, recounting Grandpa's greed, hit 500K views. Mom's social circle ghosted her. Bridge nights canceled. Whispers of gold diggers. Guilt flickered sometimes. Late nights when Noah asked for Nana's cookies. Was I the monster now? Turning their world to ash?
Fuck no.
This was justice. American style. Sue hard. Expose harder. Thrive while they wither. But the decisions got thornier. Maria suggested full restitution. Garnish their pensions. Seize the house.
Make it hurt, she said.
I hesitated. Staring at old photos. Me at 10. Gap-toothed grin on Dad's shoulders. Mom braiding my hair.
Blood.
They called it. But blood betrays. I greenlit it. The pen stroke feeling like signing their death warrants. And Rick? I dropped the embezzlement bomb. Tips to his foreman. IRS hotline pings. By Halloween, he was suspended. Raging voicemails promising payback. Noah carved pumpkins oblivious. His scary face, a jack-o'-lantern leer that mirrored my own. November's chill brought the audit results. $82,000 embezzled, plus interest. Evie and Hal faced misdemeanor charges. Financial elder abuse flipped on its head. Court date set for December. I prepped like a prize fighter. But crack showed. A nightmare jolted me awake. Rick's knife. Mom's indifferent stare. Noah's accusatory selfish. Sweat-soaked. I checked on him, curled peaceful. Rexy guard dog. This life was mine to rewrite. But as Thanksgiving loomed, an invite from Mom arrived. One last family dinner. For Noah. Trap? Or olive branch? My gut screamed run. But curiosity, the future's echo, whispered go. Armed with wire. Resolve steelier than ever. I RSVP'd yes.
Game on.
Thanksgiving 2022 hit like a freight train derailing in slow motion, turkey carcass picked clean. But the real feast was resentment. Served family style. I pulled into their driveway at 4 p.m. Noah clutching a construction paper turkey. Eyes bright with that kid magic that turns dread into possibility. The house looked the same, flags at half-mast. Metaphorically speaking, but the air inside crackled with unspoken indictments. Evie fluttered like a moth to flame. Apron crisp, forcing hugs that landed like wet fish. Dad manned the grill out back, flipping burgers with mechanical precision, avoiding my gaze like I was Medusa. Rick wasn't invited, small mercies, but his shadow loomed in every barbed comment. Dinner was a tightrope walk, Noah chattering about preschool pilgrims, me nodding along, fork spearing cranberry sauce like it owed me money. Under the table, my phone recorded, battery at 100%. Small talk veered south fast, Dad grumbling about the economy, Mom sighing over lost traditions. Then, the bomb. Layla, about the charges. We're dropping the appeal. Repay what we can. Her voice quavered, eyes glassy. Trap or truth? I sip my water, casual as a cat. Why now? Dad cleared his throat, mustache twitching. For the boy. Noah needs stability.
Not.
This war. Stability. The word ignited the fuse. I set down my glass. Slow. Deliberate. Stability like skipping his birthday? Or like the future you planned, the one where you let Rick gut me while you cashed my checks? The room froze. Noah paused mid-bite, confusion creasing his brow. Mom gasped, "What are you?" But I pressed play. The audio from July tinny, but damning. Their admissions. The Key West gloat. Dad's face purpled. Turn that off. Slander. Too late. I'd emailed copies to Maria pre-dinner. By now, prosecutors had them. That's when the real unraveling hit, the twist I'd buried deep. The secret that had haunted my death throes. As shouts escalated, Mom cracked, sobbing into her napkin. We didn't mean. It was for the family business. The loans, the flips, they were for you. Layla, to bail you out when Rick left you broke. Lies, laced with half-truth. But Dad, he spilled the gut punch. And the birthday. We weren't skipping. We were protecting him. From you.
Me?
The room spun. In my rush to rewrite fate, I'd missed the mirror's reflection. Flashback within flashback, the future's cruel gift. As I bled out, Rick confessed, wild-eyed. Your folks knew.
Lay.
About the kid. Noah ain't mine. The words had echoed. A thunderclap. Paternity fraud. Evie and Hal had orchestrated it, switched tests at the clinic, paid off a nurse with my own wired cash. All to keep the bloodline pure. Rick's rage? Fueled by their whispers. She's cheating.
Hal.
Raise another man's bastard? They'd skipped the birthday not from greed, but to stage an intervention, lure me back. Expose the lie, hand Noah to Rick as rightful dad. My death. Collateral in their twisted custody play. Betrayal squared. Not just enablers, but architects.
Now.
In this timeline, the truth detonated. Noah's yours. Layla, Dad growled, voice breaking. Not Rick's. We tested. For his sake, his sake theirs. To mold him into their mini Herald. Free of my drama. Noah whimpered. Mommy, I scooped him up. Heart shattering like cheap glass. It's okay, baby. Mommy's here.
But was I?
The recordings, the audits, they'd been child's play. This was soul deep. Chaos erupted. Mom wailing. Dad lunging for my phone, knocking plates. Noah shrieking. I bolted for the door, dialing 911 mid-stride. The operators call a lifeline. Domestic disturbance. Elderly parents assaulting me and my child. Cops arrived, sirens blaring. Cuffing Dad for battery. Mom for obstruction. Rick, tipped off by a frantic call, roared up in his truck, suspended or not, lunging at the fray. Tossed and zip-tied. He spat curses. You ruined us. You whore. Ruined? We'd all been ruins. Propping each other up with lies. December's court was a circus. Cameras flashing outside Orange County. Headlines screaming, grandparents shocking paternity plot. Maria shredded them. Fraud charges. Child endangerment. Conspiracy. Evie and Hal pled out. Probation. Restitution. Supervised grandparenting, none. Per my veto. Rick got 5 years for attempted murder. He'd swung at a cop. His empire of debts crumbling.
Me?
Custody full and final. A settlement check for $100,000. Blood money redeemed. But victory's aftertaste was ash.
Noah.
6 months wiser. Asked fewer questions about Nana and Pop, his world shrinking to our tiny apartment, rocket drawings, and bedtime stories of brave moms who slayed dragons. I quit freelancing for steady pay at a design firm downtown. Therapy sessions unpacking the layers of rage. Forgiveness? Not yet. Maybe never. But closure? In spades. One night, post-bedtime, I stood on the balcony, city lights twinkling like hesitant stars. A letter arrived that day from Mom, scrawled in shaky cursive. We were wrong. For love. Twisted. Forgive us. I burned it in an ashtray, ashes scattering on the breeze. Love, it had nearly killed us. But as I watched Noah's nightlight glow through the window, I whispered to the dark, we made it. Trung Sin wasn't just revenge, it was rebirth. And in America's unforgiving grind, that was the real hook, clawing your happy ending from the jaws of hell. One controversial cut at a time. Twists echo. Turns out, the universe's reset had a price. In therapy, flashes hit, not future horrors, but alternate paths. What if I'd never wired the money? What if Rick was the father, but those were ghosts, and I banished them? Noah's laugh from inside, that was my anchor. Happy, not Hallmark. Real, scarred.
Fierce.
Unbreakable.